All right.
Go.
Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of Amateur Theory. For those who are unfamiliar with our podcast and what we do, typically we talk about old movies, usually bad movies, and we kind of talk about them at length. This time we thought we'd switch it up, do something a little bit different. Both of us recently just watched the first episode of Space Force,
the brand new Netflix show.
Right, the brand new Netflix show.
Created by the creators of The Office, as it's been advertised, I think.
Yeah, so Steve Carell, I think, wrote at least this episode. I think I saw that.
In the credits, it said Steve Carell and a guy named Greg Daniels, who apparently he's worked on everything. He's been on SNL, The Office, The Simpsons, Parks and Rec, so big TV guy.
Big name. And yeah, this is it's pretty star-studded cast too. I mean, most specifically Steve Carell and Lisa Kudrow, but I mean, I was
it's got
John many of the actors.
Ben Schwartz, who's in Parks and Rec, I think.
Parks and Rec.
I think was he also in the Sonic movie? I'm not sure. I didn't see the Sonic movie.
I didn't see it, but he might have been. And yeah, there's an actor from the IT Crowd. There's an actor from The Daily Show. I can't think of all their names at the top of my head, but I recognized them, and I recognize a lot of people. So in this podcast, because this is a little bit more recent, we're going to try to be, usually we'll do a lot of spoilers in this podcast, but we're going to try to be light on that. That being said, we only saw the first episode. So
yeah, it's only the first episode out of an entire season. So even if we do spoil the whole thing, it's not like we've ruined the complete experience.
Yeah. And we're going to try not to, but as we talk, we might talk about certain scenes and things, usually out of context. We're not going to give you the entire synopsis, but I think that'll be.
Well, first off, I want to ask, are you a fan of The Office?
So I am, but not to the extent that other people may be. In my opinion, after Steve Carell left The Office, the show started going a little downhill, and I was less interested in watching those episodes. I have seen things here and there, but I certainly haven't seen the entire series. I know some people watch it a lot.
Yeah. No, it's actually just about the same for me. I've seen the whole series up until Steve Carell left, and then I just stopped, I think, because I was like, I don't know, what's the point? It's like that 70s show when Eric Foreman left.
Yeah.
What's that guy's name?
Or Scrubs when he left, the main guy. Yeah, but I mean, those early episodes, at least, and honestly, I've seen some later episodes that made me laugh. But those early episodes, especially, I mean, that's very, very good, right? It's a very, very good sitcom.
Yeah. And the only reason I bring this up is just because of the way this show is advertised, I think, or because it, said from the creators of The Office, and I think that puts a certain idea into people's heads.
What to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. How? So I guess should we let's just start really quick about how we feel about it, right? So just for context, I tried to avoid looking at reviews for this, so that it didn't taint my opinion. But I did see some headlines about the general consensus regarding the show, and it seems to not be super positive, at least of what I've seen. I saw a lot more negative headlines than I saw positive ones, and so I think and this is just on the first episode, but I think I might have liked it more than the sense I was getting. Again, just from headlines, I didn't read any of these reviews. But that being said, I didn't think this was particularly funny. There was no point in the entire episode where I was laughing out loud. It just didn't happen for me. There were a few moments here and there that made me smile. And that being said, I did still end up enjoying the episode, but almost more of as a dramedy than a straight up comedy show.
Dude, I think I'd almost agree on all these points. Well, first off, I just want to give my quick background. I didn't see any reviews or anything before I saw this. I didn't even know about this show until you told me a couple weeks ago that it was coming out. So I really knew nothing. I didn't see any of the reviews. And also, when it comes to comedy, just like shows, movies, I don't usually laugh like out loud or like chuckle that much even when I watch these a lot of these comedies, which isn't to say I don't like them, but just that's how I am, I think. It's different
But there are shows that do make you laugh, right? Like there's some like really really good sitcoms that will make you laugh
and
out loud.
I say those are like the special ones. Like those are the best of the best.
Was The Office one of those for you? Because it was for me.
Yeah, actually, the early stuff I loved. The Office when it that early stuff.
Yeah, I would say The Office was like one of those shows that could just like I would actually be in tears sometimes because it was so funny. And then that's just not the sense I got from this show. Like the comedic.
No, this show is a completely different beast. Because
yeah,
I mean, well, first of all, like this was like produced by Netflix, right? Or like this is a Netflix show in the same way that like Stranger Things is or something. And it shows because the way it's structured and formatted, like it's like it's played out like it's a long movie, just split into like, you know, like 30-minute episodes, like a lot of like Netflix shows are. And the style of comedy is like way different. It's not that like faux documentary type thing. Like
it still does kind of rely on. Oh, sorry. Finish your point.
Or I was just gonna say, like, if you didn't know The Office or had never seen it before, and you watched this show, like, you wouldn't think that it was created by like people that were involved with The Office.
Yeah, I think
at least that's like it's very different.
Yeah, I mean, I felt that too. That it's not like The Office 2. And that's almost kind of what I was expecting going in, honestly. But it's not that. It's its own thing. The one connector is that Steve Carell, Steve Carell?
I say Carell, but I'm not sure. Or
okay.
That's just how I've always said it.
I'll say Carell.
Okay.
But Steve Carell's character is somewhat similar to his character in The Office. Not like a one-to-one at all, but just in the fact that he's the boss, right? He's the boss, and he's a bit he can be a bit awkward. He's like a little like they kind of
he's kind of tense.
Racist,
he's
maybe?
Very stressed out, his character.
Yeah.
But the story explains it because like he becomes like a 4-star general, but then all of a sudden like he's in charge of this like just new like government program about going to space. And then it's about him like trying to like handle all of that and like keep his shit together. So in The Office, like he was just his character was just like this super socially awkward, like
he was more inept in he felt like a more inept person in The Office than he does here.
Yeah, in this show, like he seems to like kind of know what he's doing. It's just that he's having trouble like dealing with all of like the red tape and like the outside influences, you know, coming in to like try to like mess things up or change things around in the program. So he's more grounded, I want to say.
Yeah.
You could
all the
this was a real situation, like he's believable as a character.
Yeah, that's true. This is definitely like a less farcical show so far. I mean, there's a couple farcical moments actually, and some of the characters are kind of wacky. Maybe not to the level of The Office. Although, actually, no, the early Office wasn't that ungrounded either. It wasn't until later seasons that it really started to go. Everyone was a crazy person, basically. But one thing I think to mention is that this is a pilot, and at least in my experience, pilots are not always super representative of the an overall show because like they have to do a lot of things. They have to introduce you to characters. They have to set up like a story, and it doesn't give you the freedom that later episodes might have when you've established all that to just like, you know, kind of make jokes or do whatever else. Not to say there's no jokes in this first episode, but I think pilots can be excused a little bit from that just because they are a little bit different.
I mean, always like the further you go into a show, like it always like feels a little bit different from the pilot just because like the writers like
Are we
getting
using
more
pilot?
familiar with the material. And I mean, it's
Mhm.
not really a pilot. It's like the
That's what I was gonna
first
say. Are we using it
episode.
the
Like
wrong way? It's the first episode.
yeah,
That's what I mean when
like
I say
it's
pilot.
not really a pilot. It's
Right. What did you think about the political angle? Because obviously this show is a little bit political in nature. It's based on Trump's Space Force idea, right? And I think it pokes some fun at the president. There's one character in the show that's like, I think, at least the sense I got that it was supposed to be a stand-in for like AOC. So there was like, there's a political element to it, but how did you? I'm a big fan of political humor. I thought the political humor in this was a little not that clever, personally. Just that, but I don't know if it was trying to be. I don't think it's trying to be a
yeah.
political show.
Well,
It's
it's
just
not
it's a
like
show with a
super
political
overt
basis.
either. Like it's not like you can like there's like political jabs, but like at the same time, like it's not a political satire.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
and
Do you think that's going to date it though? So like, I think most of the political jokes are kind of poking fun at the president with the tweeting and such. How much of that is going to like resonate with audiences, in the post-Trump presidency? Is that, will that matter?
I don't know. Well, I feel like most sitcoms for like I mean like this isn't technically a
They can
sit,
be pretty
but
topical.
fuck it, I'm calling it a
Yeah.
sitcom. But I
Yeah,
mean like
yeah,
most sitcoms are like topical. They're always like poking fun at like the current events. Like the whole like thing with the guy tweeting like oh we're like making fun of Wendy's and we're referencing Star Wars.
true.
And to me like that wasn't even about the presidency. That was just about like the actual like people that tweet for Wendy's that like say, like funny or ridiculous things. So like the political angle, I don't think is that like what's the word I'm looking for? It's not that like present. Or I mean
Sure.
it's there, but it's not like the focus.
It's certainly not the focus of the show.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, I was thinking about that at the time, about it being dated, but I think you're right that that's just the nature of the beast with sitcoms. Like it's if you watch a Seinfeld episode or a Friends episode, you'll probably find some things that are dated. That's
yeah, that's just how it
the
goes.
nature of it, how it goes.
But at the same time, like the general story and plot, I think, I don't think it'll be that dated. I mean, maybe in like, I don't know, 50 years, if we're colonizing Mars or some shit, like people be like, oh, well, they're talking about going back on the moon again. But like, I think it's understandable.
You could say that about like 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
2001 passed. Like it's not, well, it's like, it doesn't really matter. Like you just enjoy it.
So, all right. So let's talk about comedy here. You said like it didn't really make you laugh out loud or anything.
Yeah, there was a couple moments that I thought were funny. The running gag about the receptionist.
There's always someone like in his room, and the receptionist is like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you that someone's in your room."
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty funny. I thought Schwartz's character, his entire thing was funny about the tweets. And then also the general fact that like no one takes Space Force seriously. I think that was done fairly well. But I mean, there are certain moments of the show that were like, I don't even think meant to be particularly funny. Although they're kind of comedic. Like when you have the Beach Boys song, right? Like it's kind of funny because it's this older guy singing Beach Boys. But really, that one was kind of like sad.
Because like that song and you like it, and you can kind of understand like being stressed out and then like singing your favorite song or something, which is apparently Kokomo by the Beach Boys, which I don't blame you. I love that song.
I like that song too. But yeah, so like that moment, even though it's kind of, I guess I'll use the word silly. Like we can find humor in that, but humor was not the main point of that scene, right? That was just to show, it was like for character development. And so like it was a lot of the show was like that, where it's a little bit more, again, it almost feels like kind of like a drama almost, but with just a little more farcical elements in it. And in that respect, I think I liked it. I see myself watching more episodes. Like I'm not going to turn on. Like I kind of want to see where it goes. So again, I didn't actually read any of the other reviews, so I don't know how critical they are. I don't know if they watched the entire series, and maybe that's what they're commenting on. But my general take is that I think it's not bad. I think I'd be happy to recommend it to people.
Yeah, I'd like I'd say it's kind of middling. Like it's certainly not like bad. Like it's not like cringe humor, like where they make a joke and you're just like, oh my god. Like it's not that. But at the same time, it's not like super like clever or like
Yeah.
It's never like super funny, but I am kind of interested in the characters though. Like I did kind of get invested in them and I want to see where it goes. And
yeah,
because
all the characters seem likable to me, like most of the main ones.
Yeah, they were compelling.
Like, yeah, because sometimes you'll watch a show and you'll be like, oh, I hate this guy. Like, I don't know if I want to watch it.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that sense here.
Yeah, because like I really like Steve Carell's character who's running it, and then John Malkovich who's kind of like an advisor, and like they're back and forth.
And I like Lisa Kudrow, the wife's character, a lot too. Or like I'm very curious about where that goes.
Actually the one part that made me laugh out loud, and I guess spoiler alert here, but it's not that much of a spoiler. It happens in the middle of an episode. I don't even know if it was supposed to be a joke, but because like at the beginning of the episode you see like Steve Carell's character and his family with the wife and his daughter, and everything's okay, but then he's like, well, we have to move to a small town in Colorado, and then it just cuts to 1 year later. And you just see like Steve Carell doing his thing. You don't hear anything about the wife. And then like when you do see the wife, she walks out of a prison door, like dressed in prison garb in orange. And that was the one part I laughed out loud, just because.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, oh my wow, what happened in a year?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh shit. Actually, it was that bad for her.
Though. I think it was 4 years.
No, it was 1 year later.
Are you sure? The movie's not set in 2024, or the episode?
Well, they said that was the goal to, I think, try to get someone on the moon, I think.
I mean, I'd have to relook at it, but I think that the launch was in 2024, I thought. Maybe I'm getting it wrong.
But I don't know. Well, I just know, like, when the series starts, like, he gets, like, his 4-star rank, and then it says, like, 1 year later. And that's when, like, the actual series, like, starts, I guess.
Okay.
So I don't know the actual like years, but like there's the 1 year timeline.
There's some
or the 1 year time lapse. Yeah.
But yeah. So would you you said you want to see more episodes? Do you think it was a mistake that they advertised it so heavily based on like the Office name? You have Steve Carell and the helm, and apparently some other people who worked on The Office. Like, is that misleading to like show that this is? Or is it, it's fair that, it's not The Office, it's a different show, but there is.
Well, I'm just thinking if I was like the creators, like in a business sense, I'd advertise the hell out of that. I'm like, oh, these guys were in The Office, like they were all about that shit. They're making a new show. Come check it out. You like The Office? So I completely understand that.
Do you think it will be successful at converting Office fans into Space Force fans?
I kind of want to say no. That's my gut reaction. Just because, I mean, it's a completely like different animal. Like it's.
I mean, I'm sure it'll get some percentage of them, but
definitely. Like,
but yeah, I don't know if it's going to get the numbers that The Office did. I mean, The Office is one of the most successful sitcoms of all time. It's like this. It's up there with Friends and like Seinfeld as like the level of.
Dude, I go on Reddit and everyone's always referencing like The Office, or like, is it a meme or like just a running joke? People like just put The Office on in the background, and then like get in their rooms and do their own thing.
Right.
Like that's what everyone does apparently on Reddit. Like, you love The Office so much, you just keep it running always on your TV.
I know when I watched this, I watched the episode like right before I did this podcast, so very recently. And at least at the time, which we are recording this on May 30th, so this is the morning of May 30th, it was trending at #1 on Netflix. It'll say like, this is the #1 movie, or this is the #1 whatever. This is the #1 most watched thing on Netflix at the moment. Which I think makes sense.
It's a huge draw, just because of like how.
Who doesn't want to watch?
It's like a new show with Steve Carell, and I'm think most people like Steve Carell, like I do. I think he's a good actor. I want to like see his like new show if he's in it, and it's on Netflix coming out. Like, so I completely understand like the hype and like the numbers.
But is it going to drop off? And I think, like, I don't know if this is going to stay as relevant as a show like, like Tiger King, Stranger Things. Like, Netflix has hit it out of the home run, like hit it out of the park multiple times with shows. I don't know if this is going to be at that level. Maybe it will. Maybe I'm not.
I mean, well, this is the thing. We've only seen the first episode, so you got to finish the whole season, and then even then, there's always a chance. Like, I mean, they'll probably release the second season. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if it was
doing well. Yeah. And there's always a chance like the second season's like amazing or something, and then people like really get into it. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Like, and especially with like, just like the Netflix thing where it's like, just like Stranger Things and other Netflix shows, like it's like technically it's a show, but it's the way it seems structured to me, it's like it was just the first part of a 9-hour movie, Yeah.
And then that is like a very Netflix thing to do.
Yeah.
Which makes sense given the format. I mean, if you watch them back to back like so many people do, then that's actually maybe even preferable to having like, completely self-contained stories.
And I mean, this first episode, it ends on a cliffhanger. So like, and I mean like,
and a fairly intriguing one
episode, like right there. Yeah. You don't have to wait for the next week. Like it's like it's set up like Prime to like just like get you to watch it to stream the whole thing, in a weekend. So yeah,
okay.
I'd if I had to give it a number, it'd probably be something like maybe a 6 out of 10. It's like.
Can you give us a comparison of another show you might consider a 6 out of 10?
That's hard because I don't watch a lot of shows. Well, just the fact that like I'm more invested in this like story, like even without the comedy, like I'm just kind of wondering where it's gonna go now because I kind of like the characters, and it's hard to compare it with like, because a lot of sitcoms are just like older sitcoms and they follow like a very different format because they were actual TV shows like released weekly.
Yeah, so far I'm like I'm definitely I'm going to watch more episodes for sure. But I could see myself watching like if the episodes don't get better than this, right, and it just stays at this quality, I could see myself not finishing the season potentially. Yeah. I think it's a pilot, and I find that pilots typically, I keep saying pilot, it's the first episode. First episodes typically are not, the best episodes, or it's rare that they are. Yeah. So I fully admit that this might be way better than what I'm used to. The headlines do concern me, so maybe I failed in my task to not be influenced by outside opinion. But it did like the fact that I saw so many negative headlines in regards to the show makes me worried.
Well, I think it seems like we both like virtually have the same opinion. We're like, oh, okay, like good. Yeah.
And yeah, I based on this first episode, I am, despite the negative headlines, I'm definitely going to continue watching the show, and I'm gonna try to form a more.
I definitely want to see the second episode and like see what happens.
So I guess in that respect, it succeeded, right? That's what a first episode wants you to do. Wants you to get hooked.
And this is the thing, even The Office, most people consider like the first season of The Office like to not be like
As good.
that good. Like
That's true.
yeah.
If I had to find its footing a little bit. I think that's true for a lot of seasons. Like the first season of The Simpsons, I really like, but it's not where it would go to such higher places than that first season.
Oh, see, I really like the first season of The Office too. But I know like
Yeah.
generally like critically like it's not considered like anywhere near the level of like, say season like 3 or like
Mhm.
4 or something.
And like even with the Netflix show, I think BoJack Horseman is one of my favorite shows ever. Like I love that show.
I'd agree.
And I would say the first season is definitely its weakest one.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's
See, I
bad,
love that
but
first
it's the
season
weakest
too.
season.
BoJack. I like that first season too. But yeah, but I know what you mean because like the first season of BoJack is like a completely different beast from like say like season 4 or 5, just because like they go so in depth into the characters. And so yeah, like with Space Force, like we just saw the first episode, like anything can happen, like pretty much.
Yeah.
But this first episode alone, like it's
leaving me hopeful.
yeah, it's I'm not like super excited or anything, but I'm like, all right, okay, maybe check it out. Yeah.
So I think that's our review. Okay, check it out. That's that's where we put the. I
What
guess.
else are you gonna do right now? Like stuck in your house, like.
All right. Well, do you have any? I mean, maybe that was the like final thoughts. I don't think
Yeah,
I have anything more to
pretty
say
much.
about this one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed this, please check out our other content. Like I said, usually we're talking about older, usually bad movies. We like kind of
Usually
specialize
we
in the
talk
so
about,
bad
like,
it's good. Yeah.
yeah.
So, if you like this, please check that out. Depending on we're on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, we're on YouTube. So give us a like, subscribe, follow, review, whatever is applicable with whatever platform. And until next time, we're out.
All right. Have a nice day, guys.
Yep.